Uncertain Shadows: The Life, Death, and Legacy of Sumaya Dalmar. February 22nd, 2015. Toronto's East End lies quiet under a cold pre-dawn sky. Near the bustling crossroads of Danforth and Main, a call crackles over the police radio. Someone's found a body. She's unresponsive, lifeless, sprawled in the shadows of a city that never sleeps. Her name is Sumaya Dalmar, known to her friends as Sumaya Dalmar, a 26-year-old Somali-Canadian transgender woman whose vibrant spirit had already defied war, rejection, and the weight of intersecting identities. But now, she's gone. Was it a tragic accident, a silent overdose, or something far darker? A chase through the night, a figure fleeing into the fog, and a truth buried beneath official silence. Welcome to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. I'm Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations, and today we step into the uncertain shadows of a death that shook Toronto's queer and Somali communities to their core. Sumaya was bold, brave, brilliant, a model, an icon, a survivor who fled Somalia's civil war as a child, only to carve out a new family among the marginalized. But on that fateful night in 2015, something, or someone, ended her story. A witness claims they saw her running for her life. The police say there's no evidence of foul play. A decade later, the questions still echo. What happened to Sumaya Dalmar? Was justice overlooked? Or was there no crime to solve? Grab your headphones, because this is a case where the line between tragedy and mystery blurs, and the answers might be hiding in plain sight. This is Uncertain Shadows: The Life, Death, and Legacy of Sumaya Dalmar. Let's dive in. Hello, I'm Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations. This is Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. Ontario Cold Cases is a gripping true crime podcast that shines a light on unsolved murders, disappearances, and forgotten crimes from across the province and the world. With meticulous research, compelling storytelling, and a commitment to historical accuracy, we bring you the real stories of victims, investigators, and suspects, stories that demand to be heard. Each week, we take you deep into the world of true crime with a packed schedule of episodes. Tuesdays, historical true crime cases, exploring infamous and obscure crimes from history. Wednesdays, the Mick and Mac Mysteries, a thrilling fictional detective series set in 1950s Toronto. Thursdays, World Cold Case Thursday, investigating unsolved cases from around the globe. Sundays, Ontario Cold Cases, the latest episode uncovering an unsolved mystery from Ontario. From high-profile crimes that shock the nation to little-known cases waiting for justice, we uncover the truth, one case at a time. Join us as we explore the dark corners of history and mystery, where every clue could lead to answers and every case deserves a second look. Subscribe now wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts and never miss an episode of Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. Sumaya Dalmar, also known as Sumaya Dalmar, was a 26-year-old Somali-Canadian transgender woman whose death in Toronto on February 22, 2015, drew significant attention from both local and international communities. Her background: Sumaya Dalmar was born in Somalia and immigrated to Canada with her family at the age of 3 during the Somali Civil War. She began her transition in 2011 and became a prominent figure in Toronto's LGBT and Somali communities. Described by friends as bold, brave, and brilliant, She was known for her fierce love of friends and her inspiring authenticity. Dalmar was also a model and had been featured in a 2012 documentary, a photography exhibition by Somali-Canadian artist Abdi Osman, titled An Intimate Portrait of a Somalian Trans Woman, which explored the intersection of her Somali heritage, Islamic background, and transgender identity. Her family reportedly disowned her when she came out as transgender, a factor that estranged her from her biological relatives and led her to rely on a chosen family within Toronto's queer community. The incident. Sumaya Dalmar was found dead on Sunday, February 22, 2015, in Toronto's East End, near the area of Danforth Avenue and Main Street. According to the Toronto Police Service, officers responded to a call and discovered her unresponsive. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The exact time of the discovery is not consistently specified, but it occurred in the early morning hours, with some accounts suggesting it was around 2:30 a.m. based on witness statements. Some community sources speculated she was found in an apartment or a nearby alley, but police never confirmed these details, citing privacy protocols for non-suspicious deaths. The lack of specifics about whether she was indoors or outdoors, alone or with others, contributed to the uncertainty that fueled rumors. Initial reports from the police, released on February 24, 2015, via a statement on Facebook, indicated that there was no evidence to indicate the death is suspicious. An autopsy was conducted, but the results were inconclusive, and authorities were awaiting toxicology reports to determine a potential cause of death, such as an overdose. The police emphasized that, in cases of sudden death, without apparent suspicious circumstances, they typically do not release detailed information to protect the privacy of the deceased. However, due to significant public outcry and speculation on social media, they issued a statement earlier than usual. Up next, community reaction and speculation. Community reaction and speculation. Dalmar's death sparked immediate concern and speculation with Toronto's transgender and Somali communities, amplified by social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. A tweet posted late on Monday, February 23rd, claiming she was a Somali trans woman murdered in Toronto, was shared over 3,000 times. Fueling rumors of their death was a homicide. The speculation was driven by several factors. A witness account. Manish Rampersad, an acquaintance, reported to Daily Extra that they saw a woman resembling Dalmar being chased by a man on Wellesley Street around 2:30 a.m. on the night she died. Rampersad reported this to Crime Stoppers, but claimed no follow-up contact from police occurred by the time of the memorial. The context of violence. The early months of 2015 saw a reported spike in violence against transgender women of color globally, with at least 6 murders in the U.S. alone by February. This heightened fears that Dalmar's death might be part of this pattern. Lack of transparency. The initial silence from police and the refusal of Dalmar's biological family to release information fed distrust and conspiracy theories. Friends like Lali Muhammad expressed frustration, noting perceived pattern of police apathy toward transgender deaths. Despite these concerns, the Toronto Police maintained that their investigation found no evidence of foul play. Detective Constable Kevin Hill and lead investigator Detective Tom Emery, in later statements to Vice in March 2015, reiterated that the death was not considered suspicious, while the coroner's investigation remained ongoing, with results still pending at that time. Witness account re-examined. Manish Rampersad's claim of seeing a woman resembling Dalmar being chased by a man on Wellesley Street, several kilometers west of Danforth and Main, around 2:30 a.m. on February 22nd, introduces a potential discrepancy. Wellesley Street is near Toronto's Gay Village, a hub for the city's queer community, where Dalmar was known to socialize. If accurate, the sighting suggests she may have been in a different part of the city earlier that night, raising questions about her movements before her death. Rampersad's report to Crime Stoppers and his claim of no police follow-up led some to question the thoroughness of the investigation. However, without corroborating evidence, example, CCTV footage or additional witnesses, police likely deemed it insufficient to alter the conclusion. Toxicology and coroner's investigation. The inconclusive autopsy and pending toxicology reports were central to the case's ambiguity. In Ontario, sudden deaths trigger a coroner's investigation, which can take weeks or months to finalize, especially if toxicology is involved. Example, testing for drugs, alcohol, or poisons. By May 2015, when police closed the case as non-suspicious, the coroner's findings were not publicly released, possibly because they pointed to a natural or accidental cause, example, overdose or heart failure, rather than violence. Friends like Lali Mohammed speculated about drug involvement, citing an unverified story of Dalmar attending a party, but no official confirmation emerged. The lack of transparency here mirrors broader criticisms of how police and coroners handle deaths in marginalized communities. Investigation and official findings. The Toronto Police Service's 55 Division conducted what they described as a thorough investigation. By May 2015, the investigation concluded without classifying Dalmar's death as a homicide. The inconclusive autopsy and pending toxicology reports left the official cause of death undetermined in public records. Police policy limited further disclosure, citing privacy concerns. They briefed Dalmar's friends and chosen family rather than making additional public statements. However, Lali Mohammed and others close to her disputed this, claiming they received no meaningful updates and that police ignored their calls for clarity. One unverified account, obtained by Mohammed from an undisclosed source, suggested Dalmar had attended a party, went home with someone, and was found dead the following morning. This narrative, combined with the witness sighting of a chase, kept suspicions alive within the community, though no concrete evidence emerged to contradict the police's stance. Up next, community response and legacy. Community response and legacy. On March 3, 2015, a memorial and candlelight vigil were held at the 519 Church Street Community Centre in Toronto, attended by hundreds from the local Black queer community and beyond, including visitors from the U.S. and Quebec. The event celebrated Dalmar's life, with attendees wearing purple and black to honor her love of fashion. A GoFundMe campaign raised funds for the memorial and to plant a tree in her memory in a public park. Proceeds from a subsequent party at Buddies in Bad Times Theatre also supported a benefit in her name. Dalmar's death highlighted broader issues of violence and discrimination against transgender women of color, as well as tensions between Toronto's LGBT community and the police. Advocates like Monica Forrester pointed to unsolved cases, such as the 2003 murder of Cassandra, to argue that institutional neglect persisted. The lack of closure in Dalmar's case became a rallying point for calls for better media coverage, police accountability, and protection for transgender individuals. A link to a prior episode in the murder of Cassandra Doe is provided in the show notes. In 2020, friends and supporters established the Sumaya Dalmar Award at Ryerson University, now Toronto Metropolitan University, to provide financial aid to transgender students of color, reflecting her unfulfilled dream of working in education at the 519 and her commitment to community upliftment. broader context, and unanswered questions. Dalmar's death occurred against a backdrop of strained relations between Toronto's transgender community and the police, compounded by systematic issues like transphobia, Islamophobia, and anti-black racism, which she faced as a black Muslim trans woman. The refusal of her biological family to claim her body initially, though her mother and sister eventually did for a private funeral on February 25, 2015, underscored the personal rejection she endured, contrasting with the embrace of her chosen family. Sumaya Dalmar's death on February 22, 2015, remains a multifaceted case. Officially a non-suspicious sudden death, yet a symbol of systematic issues for Toronto's trans and Somali communities. The lack of a definitive cause, combined with witness discrepancies and police reticence, ensures it lingers as an unresolved tragedy. Her legacy, though, is unambiguous. A vibrant life cut short, honored through activism, art, and education initiatives that continue to resonate a decade later. As a cold dawn broke over Toronto on February 22, 2015, Sumaya Dalmar's light went out, leaving behind a void filled with questions that linger to this day. Was it a silent tragedy, an overdose cloaked in the night, or crime lost to the shadows of indifference? The witness who saw her running, the police who saw no foul play, the community that refused to let her story fade. Each piece of this puzzle pulls us deeper into the uncertain shadows of her death. Sumaya was more than a mystery. She was a survivor, a beacon of brilliance in a world that too often turned its back. A decade later, her legacy lives on, through a tree planted in her honor, through the Sumaya Dalmar Award lifting up others, through the voices still crying out for answers. But closure? That remains just out of reach. A whisper on the wind in Toronto's East End. That's it for this episode of Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's True Crime Podcast. I'm Jay Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations, and I'm grateful you joined me to honor Sumaya's story. If this case struck a chord, or if you've got thoughts, theories, or even a lead, don't let it stay in the shadows. Reach out to us at Substack or on any of our apps, with a link in the show notes to drop a comment wherever you're listening. Your voice could be the key to unlocking what's been lost. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We've got more untold stories from Ontario's darkest corners coming your way. You can catch every episode of Ontario Cold Cases wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, you name it. Spread the word, leave us a review. Let's keep shining a light in the cases that deserve to be heard. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep searching for the truth.